Hi, everyone. Good day, everyone. My name is David Harper, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Atlas. We're a tech startup based in central London, and we really are right in the middle of London just now. So if you hear sirens and noise going on, these are the sounds of real London. It's great to be here, and thank you to everyone for attending today. I'd also like to thank Jason and his team for putting together such a great conference. It's wonderful to give everyone the chance to really come together and exchange ideas. So well done. I can only imagine how much hard work it's been. Today I'll be talking about two of the largest economic drivers in the world, healthcare and construction, and how technology startups play a crucial role in the digitization and transformation of these industries. At Atlas, we're cross industries between construction, tech, and healthcare. And this is where the need is most acute. We bridge the gap between these sectors by using the latest tech and by working with our world-class development team. To start, I'll give you a little background on myself and Atlas. I've been involved in healthcare construction now for almost 20 years, and I've worked on dozens of projects around the world, from small community clinics to multi-billion-dollar mega projects. I started in quality assurance and contracts management, then proceeded to become a project director with Siemens in their building technology sector, then joined as a client representative looking after a multi-billion-dollar healthcare portfolio. So I've learned really to see projects in healthcare construction through many different eyes, understanding things from the client's perspective, from the contractor's perspective, from the subcontractors, designers, and so on. And this has been a great benefit in what we're doing now at Atlas. At Atlas, we're developing an end-to-end technology platform. This is called ICAS, which stands for Integrated Construction Assembly System. And ICAS is a complete digital solution that enables customers to rapidly design and deliver healthcare facilities. Our objective is to make it easier for healthcare operators to rapidly scale up their healthcare infrastructure and to save time and money in the process. And our goal ultimately is to help improve access to quality healthcare for communities around the world that currently don't have it. According to the World Bank, access to primary healthcare services and achieving overall good health helps people escape from poverty. And it also provides the basis for long-term economic development. But in today's world, almost 50% of the global population still doesn't have adequate access to healthcare. And this is affecting the quality of lives of billions of people every day. We also see that healthcare trends are changing around the world, and globally, non-communicable diseases, or lifestyle diseases as we call them, are very much on the rise. Diabetes, high blood pressure, and respiratory illnesses, all of these are increasing, particularly in developing countries. And governments recognize that a lack of healthcare access is a major threat to public health. And as a result, governments are now prioritizing how best to allocate resources in order to improve their population's health. Now, healthcare expenditure policies are driven by four principal factors: growing populations, a lack of existing infrastructure, that's to say a lack of hospitals and clinics and facilities where people can be diagnosed and treated, limited existing budgets, and of course, something of which we're all acutely aware every day, every hour of every day, is the ongoing pandemic threat. So these challenges are particularly acute in developing countries with large rural populations, where people at present might have to travel hundreds of miles to get diagnosed and treated. So people don't present themselves until their symptoms have become acute. Then, of course, they need more intensive care in the hospitals they go to, putting a burden on existing healthcare facilities. Governments around the world are now reviewing these policies. And what we're seeing is that planned budgetary expenditures are now being diverted to healthcare infrastructure projects. And international institutions are also prioritizing healthcare projects due to the ongoing pandemic risk. So the World Bank is preparing to deploy up to $160 billion over the next 3 years, with a large percentage of that expected to go to increasing healthcare system capacities in the recipient countries. So with this growing need, this obvious need for more healthcare access, coupled with limited budgets, the key question we need to ask ourselves is, how do we increase access to healthcare while reducing overall costs? And this is where we look to construction to play a big part in this solution. But construction is a giant sector with big challenges of its own. Now, construction is a $10 trillion a year sector, and it accounts for almost 13% of global GDP. It's a giant, giant sector. But for years now, construction companies have been hindered by stagnant productivity and by low levels of profitability. And if we look, for example, at productivity growth in Europe over the last decade, we see that productivity in construction has only grown by about 2%. And if we look at rises in productivity for manufacturing over the same period, we can see that manufacturing has grown by over 20%. So that's a tenfold difference. And it's largely due to the efficiencies brought on by digitization. Now, if we don't change and we don't find a way to transform construction through digitization, then this trend of low productivity will continue. And construction will, especially construction of hospitals and clinics, will continue to be a risky, expensive business. And like manufacturing, we've seen many other giant sectors being transformed through digitization. Look at the media, look at retail, look at travel, look at hospitality. They have all benefited from the Internet of Things and smart technologies. So construction is increasingly being seen as one of the lone frontiers. And this is because construction utilizes less digitization than virtually any other industry. So what is holding the industry back? That would be a 15-hour session in itself, but we've only got 15 minutes. So we're going to focus on one of the main causes here. And this is the silo effect, or to give it its official definition, this is a lateral division of responsibilities that leads to fragmentation. And this is particularly visible when we look at the stakeholder structure of a typical healthcare construction project, where we have medical planners, architects, designers, engineers, medical gas specialists, we have contractors, we have subcontractors, we have project management consultants. It's a cast of thousands, literally. And information often takes weeks to be processed from one group, from one discipline to the other. And there's often a considerable time and cost impact associated with managing even the tiniest change. Now, put simply, if two people involved in the same project don't have access to the same information at the same time, then this can cause serious problems. Now, imagine when this happens every minute of every day for years. And it's easy to see how healthcare projects, hospital projects are delayed by years and cost hundreds of millions more than originally planned. And the linear nature of construction activities means that these problems are often not discovered until it's too late. That's to say that the problem remains undiscovered until it actually forms part of the fabric of the building. And the remedial action required at that point to rip out a system after it's already been built, the operator's ready for activation, and everyone's ready to go, the staff are ready. This is very, very disruptive and costly, and this happens repeatedly. So These inefficiencies put customers off from investing in hospitals. They see hospital building as being a very risky, a very complex, very onerous endeavor. And clients bear the brunt of this, of course, because when the delay happens and the budget overruns occur, they're left thinking, why didn't I know about this? Why didn't anyone tell me about this? Now, digital solutions are available, and they're being applied with some success, like building information modeling and planning software. But they tend to offer features specific to one discipline. So in effect, they're digitizing that particular silo. And as a result, large-scale adoption in a global context is still relatively low. Now, these are, of course, all problems that need to be resolved. And that means that they also offer a great deal of potential for future innovation and to increase productivity. So let's look at the industry transformation and how that might occur. And the good news is the industry leaders recognize that things need to change. And this is economically driven as much as anything else. They want better value for the money that they're spending to be represented at the end of the project in an asset that works and works as it should. And they also recognize that startups will be at the helm of this transformation, and that startups will be the prime catalyst for building the bridge between industry and technology, which makes sense because when it comes to innovation, startups have a head start on incumbents. And incumbents will have to make a very quick adjustment when the transformation happens. And incumbents know that these adjustments that need to be made, if they're conducted internally, will be costly and time-consuming. So in order to achieve digitization and make that transformation within healthcare, startups are going to play a crucial role. So what we're doing is we're bridging that gap between construction tech and healthcare. And this is where we see that the need is most acute, because healthcare is a critical, complex environment. It's highly regulated, and really the expertise and the density of components and technology that goes into your typical healthcare facility is only rivaled by something like an airport or a military base. Anyway, so here we are, ICAS, the Integrated Construction Assembly System. This is what we're putting together here in Zone 1 in central London with our partners and with our coders and our platform developers. We'll take through, this is a complex piece of kit, but it's wonderful, but we'll take you through some of the main headlines here. There are three parts to our platform. The first is the generative design tool, and this uses fully loaded 3D digital room models. So these room models are 3D. They have everything in them from medical equipment to the piping, to the power, to the furniture fittings and equipment, everything that you need in that room. And we have a library of these rooms, 73 and counting so far. They're all fully engineered and they're compliant with healthcare standards. Now, we're able to bring these rooms together and form internal floor plan layouts according to room adjacencies, corridor widths, what room should be next to the next one, and so on. We use algorithms, best fit algorithms to achieve this. And it makes the design process much, much quicker. Then we have the procurement and logistics portion of the platform, and this fully digitizes the procurement process and the supply chain. So users can onboard their own suppliers, local suppliers, and they can choose materials and components, as well as offering, it also offers the real-time tracking of these materials. So through GPS and through RFID technology, you can keep an eye on high-value assets and track these. So you know precisely when they're going to arrive on site, you know when to prime your teams to get ready to install them. And this gives everyone that real-time visibility that really makes things a lot more efficient, especially on the execution side, the construction site side. The third element of the platform has to do with installation and delivery. So once the design and procurement is done, we convert the design into what we call a construction kit. And this is a complete construction kit of parts. And every part has a unique ID, so you can follow it. You can order more parts once you're in operation. You can change parts out. You can order spare parts, the whole bit. And also we can connect this information to data sheets and to technical information so that people on site actually have the installation information when they're putting it in. And this saves a lot of time. You don't need to go through that whole RFIT process where you're raising a request for information, waiting weeks for it to come back. And these are the things that slow down construction projects. Now, the platform is designed to save customers time and money at every stage of the project process and to maximize efficiencies through technology. And here are some other features of the platform. This is some of the clever stuff that we're putting in that will make people's lives much easier. So the digital twinning technologies speed up the design process. You can choose your plot area, mark out your buildable area, choose your rooms, and this will configure it correctly. We use tracking technologies which provide real-time information to the project team. And this is integrated into the project planning software. So you can actually use the tracker on the back of the lorry delivering your CAT scanner and put that into your drop line so you can see it there represented. So you're not making phone calls and scrabbling about. And personalized project dashboards. And this is for the installation people on site so they know who they're working with. They have access to the work schedule for that particular day. They have access to the technical details. They have an overall idea of how the building is progressing. And it's about visibility because so often people on site are not kept in the dark intentionally, but they don't have the information that, let's say, people in the project office would, the design information, the scheduling, the costing, and so on. Now, talking to customers, the trend has gone from building large hospitals to establishing smaller primary healthcare facilities and specialist facilities with telehealth capabilities. And this offers a lot more access. It offers more access at lower costs, and it supports remote diagnosis through wearable devices in rural communities. And this is likely where we'll begin piloting our platform in the areas where it's needed most. So what does the future look like? Well, we foresee a rapid shift over the next 5 to 10 years from current business models where contractors and specialists have the majority of leverage and where customers face substantial risk to a more balanced model where the customer has more control, where they're kept more informed, and where they're more involved in the delivery process. And also one where technology platforms encompassing a much wider set of features like ours will become much more common. So these will be specialized platforms that are engineered for a specific purpose. And it's companies like us that are working on the detailed code and the algorithms and joining all of the pieces together to form a single cohesive data environment. We will be at the center of this transformation, and we're the ones that will lay the foundation for future development. Because once the transition happens, we believe it will be very quick, and we believe that incumbents will be drawn into the change very quickly. So this is really a win-win for everyone as we see it. Customers or project owners will pay less to build and operate healthcare facilities. Regulatory bodies will support the new system once the data proves that the new methods are safer and more efficient than the old methods. And most importantly, governments and healthcare operators will be able to scale their infrastructure, their healthcare infrastructure, much more effectively. And this will provide better access to healthcare to the populations and to the people that need it most, and improve the lives of billions of people worldwide. Thank you all very much for joining us today. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or at least give it a bash.
What is the biggest challenge in adopting the solution?
We have a question from Ulrika Carlson.
No, before that, what's the biggest challenge?
Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon. We'll take this in order, in running order here. Eric Dansero, what's the biggest challenge in adopting the solution? The biggest challenge is actually the legacy systems that are in place in the construction industry and the divisions that exist. Also convincing people that have practiced for years and years and years that there's a better way of doing what they're doing. So it's actually the people. That's the biggest challenge when it comes to adoption, is the people actually being convinced, okay, listen, don't do it that way. Even though you've done it for 30 years, do it this way. It's going to lead to much more benefits. It's going to make your life easier. You're going to feel better when you go to work every day. You're going to have more visibility. So it's, the challenge is people. Can you say something about investment and payback? We've been talking to a lot of customers, and I think one of the things that happened in COVID was it exposed the shortcomings of healthcare systems around the world. So people that were used to traveling for healthcare tourism couldn't do it anymore. And so you've got wealthy people who can afford to pay the best in healthcare, not able to leave their country. And, all of a sudden they're looking at, well, what do we have here? How can I get fixed? So we're seeing a model where technologies like ours will be used to build specialist facilities on a shared services basis. So visiting doctors can come in, visiting consultants can come in, carry out very specific elective surgeries at a premium, and then use those incomes to fund the primary healthcare facilities. So it's going to, in principle, be a mix of private and public funding. I don't know if that was the intention behind your question. If you're looking about the investment and payback from a client's perspective, we would expect to save about between 20 to 30% at least in terms of the cost and the time over a traditional hospital project. And hopefully a lot more than that, actually.
From a government perspective, thank you. I got the answer. Okay.
And when we speak to customers, incidentally, they understand exactly what we're talking about. And they've been through the pain of the delays and the disputes and the conflicts and going to arbitration and all the rest of it. So they understand the benefits of this system. So it's been quite an easy sell in that respect. Now, if anyone's got any technical questions or anyone wants to take a deeper dive, we can show you a product demonstration and all sorts of other things. It's not for the faint-hearted. It'll be for all you techies out there, but we'd be very happy to do that. Then you can see what the interface looks like. And it's our Atlas booth. So we have an Atlas booth, and we can show you our products, and we can discuss things in more detail then. What's the time?
Yeah.
Great. And it's an excellent space for investors as well, given the scale of both the industries, healthcare and construction, and given this imminent transformation that's going to take place. It's a very good place to invest. We're also in discussions, just while we're waiting for any more questions, we're also in discussions with an operator in Africa, and they've got a very good idea. They want to create small clinics and then link them together into a network, a nationwide network, using telehealth. And this allows them to reach people in remote areas who are traveling long distances just now. And they see a benefit in that. Great. Excellent. Well, listen, I've really enjoyed myself today. Thanks again to Jason and his team for organizing this. It's really good to bring everyone together like this. I'm not going to sit down and have a coffee. We'll be in our booth. So please visit the Atlas booth. If you've got any questions, any detailed technical information you need to know about the interfaces or the softwares that we're using, then give us a shout. Thank you very much, everyone. And we look forward to seeing the other speeches today. Thanks.